What is political economy? Why the oil prices in the Middle East affect, you know, elections in Europe? Why does the trade deal in Washington ripple through Africa and Asia? Why does the US dollar seem to decide the fate of entire nations? The answer lies in political economy, the study of how wealth and power are always connected. So hi, my name is Dide Adewale and welcome to my channel. Here we unpack how economics and international relations work together to shape the world. Today we will break down what political economy is, why it matters, and how it helps us to understand big issues, from sanctions on Russia to debates about, debt in Africa. So stay tuned. The basics first of all. Wealth meets power. So at its core, political economy is the study of how politics and economics influence one another. So economics ask, how are resources produced and distributed? And politics say, what is the authority to decide, or who has the authority to decide? So political economy combines the two, and then, you get who gets what, when, and how questions answered. So think of it as a constant negotiation between markets, governments, and people. So in the real world, how does this work? So just like my previous video, I would like to use sanctions as another example. So let's take sanctions. So sanctions are political tools, with economic consequences. So when the US or EU imposes sanctions on Russia, that's an example. The goal is political, which is to change behavior, but the effect is kind of economic and somehow translates to inflation, joblessness, or, shifts in global trade, alliances, shifts, and all of that. Let's use another example. Let's take trade agreements. So, for example, trade agreements, particularly deals like NAFTA or the EU single market, they look like economic arrangements, but they only exist because of political negotiations. So it means who benefits, who loses, and how will these disputes, get resolved when they come up. Another good example is oil and OPEC. So oil prices don't just reflect supply and demand. They are shaped by OPEC, which is a political organization of oil exporting countries that decides how much oil is released. So here you see politics directly shaping economics. So in all of these discussions we're having, does it really matter, Political economy explains why some nations grow rich and why others remain poor. So it's something that really should matter to an average person, like what's going on in your economy, what's going on in the country, the third world. Some rich countries are known for being rich, some, countries are known for being poor. So this is why it matters. Political economy explains these questions. It shows how powerful, states dominate institutions, like the IMF and WTO. So it helps us analyze crisis, how the global financial crash, for example, to COVID-19 issues, and why political choices had massive economic consequences. So it breaks this down to tell you, what's caused it, the predictions of what's going to happen, and the reality of where we are. So political economy also, allows you to see the future. It gives you like an approach for you to see the future. So for example, climate change, migration, or AI, So all these debates are quite political and economic as well. So looking at the academic lenses from just, an average person, in universities, political economy is studied in three main traditions. You have the classical political economy, which you need to know if you're, an economic student and all of that. And you can't but talk about Adam Smith Karl Marx, and who is always linking markets with power. These people always link the markets with power to explain current life situations. We can look at the modern economic side, which is more technical, but is still shaped by political decisions. Then you have international political economy, IP, directly connecting economics and international relations, asking how do global markets and global politics influence each other. So in summary, what have we been trying to say? What have we learned, in our discussion? I think political economy is the real world relationship between money and power. It explains tools like sanctions, trade wars, oil prices, global inequality, a lot of things that as the countries try to compete, use in their relationships with one another. So if you want to understand how the world works, you need the tools of political economy. So if you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button and join me every week as we explore how economics and international relations shape our lives. And let me know in the comments, which global issue should I unpack next? Let me know. Do you want me to talk about sanctions, climate change, or the rise of the BRICS? Till I see you next time, stay tuned.